Welcome everyone to our channel, Egypt Travel Expert, a channel made specially for travelers looking to find hidden gems and exotic destinations. If you are among those elite travelers, subscribe to our channel and we will help you to live the trip of your dreams. In the following video, we are going to talk about the most important goddess in the pharaonic religion, goddess Isis, and her temple in Aswan. Isis was the most important goddess in the pharaonic time, and she was born among four twins, for goddess Nut, the goddess of sky, and god Geb, the god of earth. And both gods had to be separated when god Shu, the god of air, separated between the two gods in order to create a space for the twins to live, and the two parents were separated forever. God Shu also created humans in order to serve the four gods, Isis, Osiris, Set, and Nephthys. And humans were supposed to serve gods, give offerings, and soon god Osiris, the elder brother, married Isis, and he was quite fond with human, and he knew that they have potentials, and he started teaching them how to use fire, how to cultivate, and how to write and read, while his brother Set, the equivalent to god Loki, the god of mischief, despised human, killed them for pleasure. The human loved Osiris and appreciated his gifts, so they chose to make Osiris and Isis the first king and queen in Egypt. But Seth killed his brother, and he took the throne of Egypt, and he threw the body of his brother in the river Nile to be eaten by crocodiles. But Isis was successful to find the body of her deceased husband, and she was able to bring him back to life for a short period, enough to get herself pregnant and bring an heir for the throne of Egypt, and completely ruin god Seth's plan to rule Egypt. But Seth, in order to stop Isis from bringing Osiris back to life, took away the body and cut the body into 14 pieces and scattered all over the country. And Isis once more had to search 14-fold in order to find the body parts of her husband. She was able to find all the body parts except the heart. So when she was unable to find the heart, she went south, and in her journey to Aswan, she was walking by the side of the river Nile when she noticed a blinking red star on an island on the other side of the river Nile. The secluded island had no means to reach, so she ordered the crocodile to line up and form a bridge on which the goddess walked to reach the island. And when she crossed the island, she found the heart of her deceased husband, like a red diamond blinking with light. The island became goddess Isis' refuge in the south, and a temple was constructed for the goddess, one of the longest functioning pharaonic temple history. The temple was created over 3,000 years before Christ, and it continued to function until the beginning of the 6th century AD. No temple in the world continued functioning as long as the temple of Isis. And finally, the Roman, during the Christian time, during the time of Emperor Justinian, attacked the temple, killed the Nubian priest, and converted the temple into a church. The temple of goddess Isis was the most beautiful temple on the river Nile, and the remaining paintings from European artists during the 19th century is the best evidence of how glorious this temple was. However, the construction of Aswan Old Dam caused the temple to drown, and all the colors on the amazing temple were lost. And the temple had to wait patiently, drowned in water for over 60 years, until the whole world cooperated together in a big rescue operation led by the UNESCO organization to rescue the temple of Philae. Especially that the new high dam of Aswan construction means that the temple will be trapped between the old dam and the new dam and will be drowned all year long, and eventually it will be destroyed. The engineers had to build a buffer dam around the island using 3,000 steel girders, protecting the temple from the river Nile water. And then the water inside the island was removed, the mud and the dirt was cleaned from the temple, and then the temple had to be disassembled, and the incredible task of disassembling the temple and relocating it to the other side of the river Nile was made by a specialized Italian company. Over 80,000 pieces of stone had to be removed in order to save the temple, until a new surrogate island was prepared for the temple to be constructed again. Not far away from Philae Island, Egelkia Island was a good choice. The island, which was slightly smaller than Philae, had to be enlarged, and then it had to be leveled in order to take the same topographic shape of Philae Island before the stones which were stored on the other side of the river Nile brought to the Egelkia Island, and the temple was constructed again. The epic rescue operation continued for almost a decade, costing $80 million. 1/5 of it was paid by the Egyptian government. The original temple of Philae, created during the pharaonic time, was demolished, and it was replaced by the structure that we have now during the time of the Greek king Ptolemy II. And there is no pharaonic antiquities inside the temple of Philae except for small number of shrines, such as the shrine of Hathor by King Nachtanibu, the gate of Nachtanibu, and the most ancient monument in Philae temple is a small piece of stone with the name of King Senusert from the 12th dynasty written on it. The open court has the shrine of Hathor, built by King Nachtanibu, which is distinguished by floral pillars decorated with the face of goddess Hathor. And this is the oldest shrine in the temple. The temple contains two arcades. The one on the left is decorated with offering scenes representing Roman emperors giving offering to the gods of the temple, Isis, Osiris, and Horus, such as Augustus, Tiberius, and Emperor Claudius. On the right-hand side, we notice that the arcade contains pillar without any decoration. However, we believe that there used to be paintings and drawings on these empty pillars, but they were lost when the temple was flooded with the water of the river Nile. In front of the first pylon, there used to be two obelisks from the time of King Ptolemy VIII and his wife Cleopatra II. One of these obelisks was completely destroyed. The other one had been taken to England by a wealthy English lord called Lord Banks, and it was transferred to the city of Kingsman near London in 1821 with the help of Giovanni Belzoni, and it is a very important obelisk. And the text on that obelisk was of a great help for Jean-Francois Champollion to decipher the pharaonic language during the early 19th century. And we can see on the pylon a representation of King Ptolemy XII punishing his enemies in front of goddess Isis. Also the gateway of Emperor Trajan. Windows were added to the pylon during the Christian Roman time to help the gods of the temple to observe the surrounding. The second court, we can also see two lions flanking the entrance to the second court. When you go through the second court, you need to look on the right hand side gateway above, and then you will see a French language inscription written by the French soldiers who were settled in this temple during the French invasion of Napoleon in the early 19th century. And it says they are celebrating the 7 years of the French Revolution. The name of Napoleon was mentioned too. Once we go through the second open court on the left, we can see the Mamizi, or the birth house. And the birth house is divided to two sections. The first section contains scenes for Horus' childhood, when goddess Isis hid him in the marshes of a delta, in the swamps. It was easier for the goddess to stay away from the eyes of Thes, who was adamant on killing her and killing her son. And we can see that the goddess is not alone. She was accompanied with several gods and goddesses who are represented standing holding swords and spears in their hand, including female hippopotamus, adamant to protect the young child god. Also, there is a very beautiful representation of Isis sitting and holding baby Horus, nurturing the young god in front of god Amun. In the second section of the Mamizi, we can see Horus in his full glory, represented as an eagle wearing the double crown on his head, showing that he finally defeated his uncle and he took the throne of Egypt and became the king of the north and the south kingdoms of Egypt. The second court contains a platform on which the sacred pot is resting, made of red granite, and on the right hand side, behind the arcade pillars, there is several chambers, which is used as both storage room and guest chambers for the golden statues of the gods and the goddesses visiting the temple of Isis during the combined festivals. The second pylon contains classic offering scenes for the king giving offerings for both Isis and Horus. Below the pylon on the right hand side, we can see a large granite oval inscription declaring and confirming the ownership of goddess Isis for the fertile land of Nubia. And it says that goddess Isis irrigates the lands of Nubia with her tears when she cries over her killed husband, and the flooding of her tears would bring life cultivation to this land, and therefore the riches of this land is owned by Isis. The outside wall of the Mamizi contains classic offering scenes. However, if we look carefully, we will find hieratic small inscriptions. And if we read that text, we realize that it is the exact same text written on the Rosetta Stone from the time of King Ptolemy V, which is granting the Temple of Isis a tax exemption, showing how honored Isis by the kings of Egypt during the Greek time. Now we can go through to the colonnade of the temple. The colonnade of Philae temple is decorated with floral capitals and lots of offering scenes and coronation scenes from the Greek time. However, we notice something very interesting. A gigantic cross cut on the side of the doorway. And when we go inside, we start to see carvings of crosses all over the place. And on the right hand side, we see a niche on the wall which used to contain an icons of Virgin Mary holding baby Jesus, and in front of it an altar made of red granite where the priest used to perform their communion rituals. It means that that section of the temple was converted into a church during the Christian era. Studies proved that the Christian covered the wall of this colonnade with a thick layer of plaster and then decorated it with Christian scenes representing the apostles, representing Virgin Mary and Jesus. But when the river Nile flooded the temple after the construction of Aswan Dam, the humidity destroyed all these scenes, including the pharaonic scene. So both Christian and pharaonic decoration and color on this temple were all lost because of the high humidity and the water of the river Nile, because the temple remained drowned for several decades until the rescue operation was successful. Once we go through the colonnade to the antechamber, on the right hand side we can see a classic offering scenes for the king holding a lotus flower in one hand and a jar of lotus perfume on another. And this shows that the Egyptians during the Greek time used to produce lots of perfume. And Egypt was Paris of the Middle East. And the perfume that the Egyptian produced, the secrets of producing these perfumes were only known inside the temples. And it was one of the most valuable products exported to Europe during the Greek and the Roman time. If you look above on the right hand side, we can see the location of the island written on the walls of the temple, the latitude and the longitude number of the location of the temple. This was written by the scientist of the French Napoleon campaign in Egypt, during the beginning of the 19th century. Now we can go to the Holy of Holies, which contains 3 shrines, 2 smaller shrines on the side and a bigger shrine in the middle. The one in the middle contains many offering scenes made by the king to goddess Isis. There is in the middle a red granite platform on which the sacred boat of goddess Isis used to rest, that contains the solid gold statue of the goddess. On our way out from the Holy of Holies, on the right, a doorway will take us outside the temple. When we go outside the temple, we look north, where the old dam of Aswan, not far away from the island, and we can understand why the temple was flooded and covered with water after that dam was constructed at the beginning of the 20th century. It was built with the help of the British, who built it in order to enable the Egyptians to produce more cotton, which was the best cotton in the world at that time. But the construction of that dam meant that the temple of Isis was flooded with water most of the year. And for only 3 or 4 months during the year, it was possible for visitors to come and see the temple. But of course, with the construction of Aswan Dam, High Dam in 1972, it means that the temple will be covered with water all year long, and eventually it will destroy. If we proceed, we can see the mel stone, which have been used by the Christian Roman in order to press olive oil and grind flour to produce bread. In front of us, we're gonna see the gateway of Augustus, and this gateway was used by the procession of goddess Isis in order to visit her husband on Bega Island from time to time. On the right hand side, we're gonna find the shrine of goddess Hathor. The decoration on that shrine is amazing, and most of the decoration is representing the king giving perfume offering to goddess Hathor. However, there is lots of decoration showing music instrument and playing music such as guitar, harp, flute, and drums. And this reflects the nature of the rituals of goddess Hathor, which focuses on music and dance. Also, we can see inscriptions and statues for god Bes, the god of laughter and music and dance in the Egyptian religion. And he's quite similar to god Dionysus in the Greek mythology. Finally, we find the shrine of Trajan, dedicated for goddess Hathor, and it is unfinished. There is only a small section of decoration inside the shrine on the left, representing Trajan giving offerings to goddess Hathor and Isis. On your way out from the temple, you can see the stage for the sound and light show, and it is one of the best sound and light show in Egypt, highly recommended to visit at night time. And then you can ride the motorboat back to Aswan, loaded with beautiful memories and fantastic pictures for the most beautiful temple on the River Nile. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I hope that you enjoyed this video.